Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on An Cluiche with me, Séamus Brady, your host. I have quite a crew here with me for this episode, joined by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman, and Seán Carroll. First time on the show. Seán, how are you getting on?
Good, yeah, it's an honour to be honest, and I followed the two boys there, so you're great lads for the game, so yeah, it's great.
No man, absolute pleasure to have you on. And let's just dive right in. What a weekend, lads. I mean, Louth winning their first Leinster title since 1957. Donegal making it back-to-back in what kind of threatened to be a full-blown riot in St. Tailteann Park, but then somehow it managed to be restored, thanks in no small part to Kieran McGeeney and Jim McGuinness settling down their boys. We had the Tailteann Cup kicking off. We had unbelievable action in the Munster Hurling Championship. Clare now on the brink of being eliminated, which is absolutely crazy. Leinster Championship action as well. Kilkenny, Seán, your own county doing well there. Another victory over Offaly. My county, Dublin, now better at hurling than football. More Camogie drama and about the Skorts debate, which we will touch on as well. And then we had LGFA Provincial Finals as well. Literally had everything this weekend. But we are going to start with the big one that took place today. The Leinster Senior Football Championship Final 2025. Louth 3-14, Meath 1-18 in Croke Park. Louth are Leinster football champions for the first time since 1957. Seán, you're at the game. You're in Croke Park. Tell me what it was like.
It was unbelievable. The atmosphere was unbelievable. And I think, obviously, Meath, they didn't win it, but I think they saved football, Leinster football, definitely. And I was actually talking to a man from Louth. He must have been in his 60s, I say 70s, and he said last time he was 6 when he was here, when he was 6 years old, when Louth last won it. And you can see like the tears in his eyes or whatever, and you just see the emotion there. Like it was class. I suppose it shows what it means to count like Louth to win.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. Like 1957 is just unbelievable. It's like two different generations apart. Matthew, in this game, especially, we were talking off air, Louth showed heart to come back time and time again. The one thing that I found was they were hanging on even when Meath were, let's be honest, the better team in the first half. Louth were still going in within touching distance of them. Craig Lennon's goal especially stood out as being a key score to keep them in touch. In the second half, when Matthew Costello hit the back of the net for Meath, I did think this could be it for Louth. That could be the knockout blow. Samuel Roy lands that 2-pointer. Craig Lennon lands the last score. What a way to finish it out.
Yeah, it was unreal. And to break a 68-year duck, what a way to do it. Samuel Roy, he probably didn't have his best game in a low jersey. He hit a few wides at the start of the second half, and you were thinking, is this going to be one of these days? But to be fair to him, he stood up, got that free for the 2-pointer and put it over the bar. An outstanding score. I'd agree with you. The Matthew Costello goal, I thought it was done then when Meath got that. And in the first half, to be fair, I thought Meath were the better team. Owen Frayne was kicking these scores for fun. Rory Kinsella was absolutely excellent as well. Billy Hogan kicked an outstanding 2-pointed free as well. And I was thinking, going into half-time, Meath are the better team, but louder, dogged. Like the 3 goals they got were crucial. And I think genuinely Joe Brennan went into the dressing room and said to them, look, yes, we got 3 goals, but we got 6 scores as well, 3-3. That isn't good enough in this Leinster final. We need to up the intensity if we are going to win it. And to be fair, Louth had a really purple patch in the second half. Kieran Downey kicked a point as well. I thought Samuel Roy was brilliant, even after missing that free. Then Costello gets the goal, and you're thinking, this is not going to be Louth's day. But to be fair to Mulroy, to be fair to Craig Lennon, they stepped up when needed, and they got the win in the end. And what was impressive about Louth closing it out as well, they kept the ball for, I'd say, over 5 minutes. Yeah. And then to kick it out at the end with absolute joy. It was brilliant. It was brilliant scenes. And yes, 68 years. I think everybody in the country, but from Meath, obviously, I think everybody in the country would have been absolutely delighted for Louth. It's a magnificent achievement, especially the Dubs. Absolutely, yeah. It's a brilliant achievement, and absolutely congratulations to them. I see it on the hill. I see the photo of the Meath fans actually put up kind of a photo flag of Joe Sheridan's throwing goal, and you were mentioning it to me off air, Séamus, about Dermot Campbell throwing the cup over the line. So I think Louth got something back on Meath after all these years. 15 years is all it took, but outstanding achievement. Congratulations to all. I'm sure there'll be an absolute party in Drogheda tonight. I think Drogheda is the host. The Integral Grounds is the host venue of the party.
Mate, I live in Whitehall. I live 10 minutes away from Croke Park. I'm not going out. I can't walk down the street. Can't walk into a pub.
Yeah. But no, geez, that was class. The atmosphere was insane. Like, and I suppose I'm more hurling than football, but like it just shows what it means to likes of Meath and Louth to kind of get to a final. I think there was what 60,000 there. So
Yeah. Can I ask John, because both of us have been in Croke Park, like all three of us have been in Croke Park numerous times. How does that roar when Louth won? How does that compare to any roar that you've ever heard in Croke Park in terms of pure passion?
Up there, yeah, definitely up there, like the loudest I've ever heard. Even like I was just saying to one of the lads with me, like when he got the 2-pointer to go in front, I was like, this is like if he gets this, it lift the roof off the place, like, and definitely did, like, you know.
For sure. Matthew, what do you think the turning point was in this game? What do you think the little bits were? Because obviously you can look at the Samuel Roy 2-pointer, that sticks out as an obvious one, Craig Lennon's goal. For me personally, the key points is the fact that when Meath were on top, when Meath had their purple patch, Louth were able to hang in there. Louth were able to not let Meath get too far ahead of them, because when you look back at the Dublin game, when Meath were on top of Dublin let Meath do far too much damage, that when Dublin then got their purple patch, Meath were too far ahead, too far gone to pull back in. Whereas Louth were somehow able to just scrap their way to being only 2 or 3 points behind. Craig Lennon gets the goal. All of a sudden, you're looking, I remember around the 42nd minute, I was like, how on earth are Louth only 1 point behind? It feels like Meath have been on top for the majority of the game. But that just does sum them up. And I was saying this, like, yes, this is a Leinster title on the day for Louth, but it's so much more than that. It's a journey. When you look at, they were in Division 4, Mickey Hart picked them up, back-to-back promotions. Then they lost Mickey Hart to Derry. Ger Brennan comes in, his first inter-county manager job, and he takes them to a Leinster final, keeps them in Division 2, then takes them to another Leinster final in the second year and wins the Leinster Championship. Matthew, for this year, not just this year, but for the journey, it's right up there with one of the best I've seen in the last decade or two.
It is, and I was saying to you off air, I remember Louth actually came down to Cork to Páirc Uí Chaoimh during COVID times, and it was in Division 3, and Cork took 5 goals past Louth, and Louth actually went down, I think, with 0 points or in and around that number, down to Division 4, and Cork were obviously head and shoulders above everybody in that division that year. And I was generally thinking, look, it's standard. Cork, it's an easy win for us against Louth, and that Louth team is very, very poor. But to be in Division 4 in 2021 under Mickey Hart, to then 4 years later win the Leinster Championship, it's an absolutely brilliant achievement. I remember actually in 2023, I think, when themselves and Limerick went up to Division 2, I was thinking, who would make the step up? Who would be the big lads and try and stay up in Division 2? Generally, I thought it'd be Limerick, because Limerick had a lot of bulky players in their team. They had a lot of good runners. But it ended up being Louth, and they have developed time and time again over the last few years. Like even in last year to reach the All-Ireland quarterfinal, the way they did, it was magnificent. Even the game against Dublin, they were very, very close. And you could even see the expression of the players after they lost to Dublin last year. Samuel Roy was devastated, and that was a Dublin team that was dominating the Leinster Championships left, right, and centre. So to win it this year, I think generally, I know Meath beat Dublin, but when you look at what Louth have done, what they've achieved over the last few years, being close to promotion in Division 2, obviously being close to Dublin last year in the Leinster final, this is their 3rd Leinster final in a row. For those players to go through all that and not win a Leinster title when Dublin are out, I think it would have been a travesty generally. Yeah. So for them to go on and win it was absolutely brilliant. And generally, I think the turning point was the Craig Lennon goal, and it was a brilliant goal, probably one of the goals of the year. But at that point, after Owen Frayne pointed, Meath were 13 points to 2-3 up. That was a 4-point margin. So for Lennon to net that in the dying embers of the first half, when he could have easily popped it over the bar, like when you think about that, took a lot of guts to do that. And even when Jordan Morris pointed for Meath in the 48th minute, the score was 18 points to 3-6. Then Louth got the next 5 scores in a row after that, 5 points. They didn't even need a 2-pointer. Grimes got one, Mulroy got 3, and Kieran Downey got it. And suddenly Louth were in front. Yes, Matthew Costello got the goal, and that was it could have been a turning point in the game. But for Louth to come back into it and to show the resilience that they have done over the last few years, I think it's just a testament to what they've done, not just under Ger Brennan, but under Mickey Hart before that as well. Yeah. It's just a brilliant achievement for Louth, and they've ultimately deserved it.
Yeah, it's funny as well, because the way Mickey left, like, he won't get much shout outs because of the way he left so acrimoniously. But his work cannot be underestimated. And there's no doubt that Ger Brennan came in, found that Louth team and just went, I just need to kind of carry on what Mickey was doing. He put a very good team in place there. Sean, in the stadium, I gave what I thought was my kind of turning point. Matthew gave his. In the stadium, especially at full time, what were the main moments where you were like, that was where Louth won the game?
I think, like you're saying, the Craig Lennon goal definitely was the turning point. I think, like you're saying, when they got the 2-pointer, I was saying, like, you kind of felt like they needed to get that, and then once they got that, they kind of nearly held on to the ball as much as they could until the final whistle went. And I think when it went, one of the best things I've ever heard. You know, in terms of turning points, I think it was very close. Throughout, it was very close. I think the first half there was only a point or two. I know you have stats there or whatever between them at half time, and like you're saying, it felt like Meath were kind of pulling away, and then but Louth kind of held on. They never kind of let it get too much of a gap. But yeah, I think the goals were definitely the turning point. I know Meath did get one back, but yeah, I think the goals were the turning point. You know,
no, for sure. Like, I mean, just that, like, it just kind of stood out to me that I was like, Meath aren't making Louth pay as much as they made Dublin pay. And the other thing as well was Louth were able to compete with Meath around the middle a lot better than Dublin, where Meath completely overran Dublin in the midfield, especially in that kind of first half when they did a lot of damage. But Louth were able to win some huge kickouts. There was one part, I don't know if you remember this, but there was one part where Louth were really under the cosh and Conor Grimes caught a huge kick out. And it felt like that's a big one because Meath had them at that stage. They kicked 3 points in a row. It was coming towards the end of the first half and Grimes caught a massive one and just lifted the siege a little bit on Louth because they were really coming under the cosh. Meath had positioned Jack Flynn on one side, Brian Menton on the other, and they were mopping up everything. Whereas Louth were able to go toe-to-toe with them a lot more. We've loads of comments in here, guys. Love to see it. A special shout out to Brian O'Riordan, who's given us a full, basically, breakdown of both of the provincial finals. But I'll read this one. He says, incredible. 68 years of hurt comes to an end, and we can stop talking about 2010. Personally, just for the banter side of things, I'm never going to stop talking about 2010. Just, I think all that game was missing was Joe Sheridan coming in with like a Stone Cold Steve Austin entrance with 5 minutes to go.
Was he in the crowd somewhere? I don't know.
I don't know if he was. I did think when Martin McNally was the referee, I was like, I wonder where Martin Sludden is. I wonder if he's in a bunker somewhere. Like,
yeah, I say another supporter from Louth there after they won. He had in his phone, he had like where you have your cards and stuff. He took out a picture of that goal. He had a picture from the newspaper. And he's like, I've been waiting to bring this for 15 years, and there you go. But I think that did kind of add to the occasion as well. Like I was saying, things like that always build up an atmosphere, and you kind of hope then it delivers. And I think the game definitely delivered. And yeah, I think the revenge is kind of it'd be sweet tonight up in Drogheda anyway. Whether they
sure.
I don't know.
For sure, because the one that I always go back to is I'm a big UFC fan, as Matthew knows, because I never shut up about UFC. But basically, there's one fighter called Chael Sonnen, and basically he said that there's always the where, the what, the who, the when, and the why. And he says the why is always the most important. No matter what, the why is always the most important. And he said, because then when he was fighting someone, he'd always try to sell it as like why this fight is important. This Leinster final sold itself. The why was right there. Revenge for Louth. Close the gap. 68 years without a Leinster title, and to beat Meath of all teams. Yeah, so sweet for them. We've more comments in here. Sean O'Malley says football is back, especially the Leinster Championship. Both Meath and Louth were worthy Leinster champions. Both teams will give any team a good game, in my opinion. Craig Lennon was man of the match. Maurice Wise could have cost Louth the game, whereas Lennon was involved in everything. Our good pal Liam White, he says football is alive. What a weekend of finals. Cousins are from Drogheda. They're going to have some night. So they're already having some night down here. A common theme in the game was when one of them scored. The other team was pinned in the half because of the pressure on the kickouts. Shawnee Kay says, and the pundits kept telling us get rid of the provincial championships and play them in January. Delighted for Louth. Dan Murphy says, as a Kildare woman, we was gutted to lose to Louth, but delighted to see them end their Leinster drought today. Sean also says, Leinster's back for so long, everyone wanted rid of the provincials, but the future looks bright. Meath and Louth are back. Kildare have potential if they get their shit together. Dubs are unknown. Shawnee Kay says, I'd suspect Kerry, Galway, Armagh, Donegal, a bit ahead of the rest. And then Sean O'Malley says Martin Sludden can come out of witness protection.
No, who was that?
All right, Shoddy K. Someone in the comments just saying Martin Sludden can come out of witness protection.
Well, I think I think Meath like they have saved like Leinster football because
For sure.
Once it wasn't Dublin when saying no, it's back down from Dublin. Do you know what I mean? But it was
No.
saved it. It's a bit like you could take in the hurling. Beautiful Kenny would very, we take it for granted a lot of the time. But like if someone else just win it, it shows what it means to them. Like
No, for sure. Like I think. Because what I was saying before in the Leinster Championship was, I was saying any competition, you need jeopardy. You need to not know who's going to win. You need both set of fans to believe that they're capable of winning. And for the last 10 years, everyone knew it was over before it even began. Like Dublin's attitude was, if you scored a goal against them, it would be like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Now we're just going to take the ball off you. You're not getting it back for 10 minutes because you had the cheek to score against us. Whereas finally, that golden team kind of is dropping off. And I was saying to you, I used to grow up, my dad used to bring me to the 06, 07, 08, 05 as well, that final. All sellouts against Laois, against Offaly, against Laois again, and against Wexford. Because all of those games were 50-50 games. And Dublin, to be honest, talked a bit of shit. They kind of were a bit boasty to the crowd. Now they're so media trained, they won't give anything away. So they don't really play to the crowd as much. Whereas if you look at an 07 final, like Alan Brogan will score a goal and you'll turn around to the crowd and be like giving it the whole one. And it was much more of a show. And I'd kind of like to see that being brought back just a little bit as well, maybe for the future. But any final thoughts, lads? Or are we kind of happy to move on to the Ulster final? Because, I mean, there's so much we can unpack from that game. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I suppose, like, if you mentioned a good point in the kick-out battle. Even look at the stats here. Like, Meath, Louth actually won the kick-out battle and more today. They won 60% of their own kick-outs and 45% of Meath's. And when you look at the way Meath dominated Dublin, that was the platform to victory as well. And Tommy Dornan deserves a lot of credit. So does Conor Grimes around the middle of the field. It's a magnificent achievement for Louth. And even Meath had more turnovers as well. So, like, Meath had a better shooting accuracy. Meath were so good in nearly every aspect of the game. But the key stat there was the kick-outs. Louth dominated it. And the saying goes, if you dominate the middle, you dominate the game. Brilliant achievement by Louth.
Oh, for sure. Like, that was kind of one of the main points that I was saying about who would win this game. I was saying if Meath could dominate the midfield, they get more ball into the likes of Owen Frayne. If Louth could dominate the midfield, they get more ball into the likes of Samuel Roy. They both kind of were in a bit of a stalemate arm wrestle around the midfield, which is why it was such a close game. But it was just unbelievable from start to finish. And looking at it on the TV, because I just couldn't get the time to go, but I was watching while working. And I mean, it just looked like what the Leinster finals used to be. I really, really hope that it stays that way. I want to beat Meath next year, make no mistake about it, but I want that competitiveness back. I want to feel like we're going to lose and then we win. But I don't want it to be over before it begins. Sean, I'm sure you feel the same to some degree with Kilkenny and Leinster. Like, you want competitors.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you want Kilkenny to win, but you want to be interesting as well. Like I was saying, like in the actual stadium, with the colour, like the smoke and everything, and it was a sight to behold, as I say. Do you know what I mean? And you nearly forget it was like the Leinster. You nearly think it was like an orange semi-final or something, kind of way. But you would. You always want competition, and I think what we're going to want in a minute, the Ulster football is. Prime example of it, isn't it?
Oh, for sure. Well, we saw flares on Hill 16 today in Croke Park. We saw flares in the middle of St. Tailteann Park yesterday when Donegal beat Armagh at the end. What a game this was, lads. This was just unbelievable stuff. Donegal 223, Armagh 28 points after extra time at St. Tailteann Park in Clonus. Matthew, I'll go to you for this first. How do you sum this game up? I mean, we were saying it's going to be 1 point win after extra time. And by the way, that's nothing special for us to say. Everybody and their dog knew that this one was going to go right down to the wire and it was going to be millimetres one way or another. How did Donegal get over the line in this one?
Generally, I don't know, to be honest with you. Like, they won this game by a point, but easily Ben Creeley's transfer Armagh could have gone anywhere. Like, even Darragh McMullins had went wide just a few minutes before that. But that goal chance, like, Armagh, you have to take into account as well. Armagh had an absolutely brilliant performance yesterday. But that goal chance, it could have gone anywhere. It hit the post. I think it hit Charlie Burns on the way through, and it just went wide. And it was all that was kind of an indicator that our match just wasn't your day. And Kieran Moore coming up with the goal of all people, he went off during normal time, and then he comes back on in extra time. Donegal used that tactic very well. And a lot of people went off in normal time. Paddy McBrearty was another. I think Darrell Boyd was another, and then they come back on in extra time. Kieran Moore. That's 3. Yeah. So it could have been more, to be honest with you. But it was a brilliant win for Donegal. But the thing was, Donegal probably should have won the game in normal time. I thought when Hugh McFadden belted the ball as a top corner, I thought Donegal have won this. And Armagh deserved a lot of credit. Soupy Campbell obviously coming off the bench and scoring a point there as well. Obviously, Ethan Rafferty was inspiration as well. Ross McQuillan, Jason Duffy off the bench, Oisin O'Neill, Oisin Connaughton. Oisin Connaughton gave everything to the cause. Like, I don't think he could walk towards the end of it. Like, he went off in extra time, with an injury. So Armagh gave their heart and soul to it. They just fell short, and they got an unwanted record as well. Like, I think that's the first team to lose 3 Ulster finals in a row since down in 1975.
Joanne said that, actually. Joanne said that. Joanne said that at full time. She said Donegal win back-to-back Ulster titles, and Armagh become the first team since down in 1975 to lose 3 Ulster finals in a row. And I could just imagine every Armagh fan at home just being like, just shut up. Stop telling us that is the case. But it was another game that just transcended through the screen. You could just tell that the atmosphere there was just unbelievable. And just, it was one of those games where it's just such an arm wrestle. They're so evenly matched. Like, how many times have they played and it's been a 1-point win, extra time and a 1-point win, penalty shootout, everything like that. Clonus for an Ulster final, Sean, there's nothing like it.
It's unbelievable. And I tasted my first bit of Ulster football. I went up to a couple of games this year, and I get it. Like, I get how good it is. And like, even watching yesterday, next to time, like, it was just end-to-end kind of stuff. And then I think once Donegal kind of got the ball, and did they hold on to it for like the last maybe 4 minutes? I think just passed around. And obviously with the new, like, it stops at 70, like, they just hold on to it. And was it Rafferty? He had to go for it, then get away to free at the end.
Yeah, he fell then at the end.
But yeah, like, you can't love them games where, like, you don't know who's going to win, and you nearly wanted to go to penalties. You wouldn't want either team to lose, But I suppose Armagh being All-Ireland champions and then to lose the last couple of Ulster finals, I suppose, like, it's kind of clear in the hurling maybe. They nearly want to win the Ulster rather than the All-Ireland now, kind of get the monkey off the back, starting to speak. But yeah, I think 2 teams will have a big say come All-Ireland time as well. They might meet each other down the road again, but yeah, it was class. It was class, to be fair. And Clones is one of those stadiums where, like, you won't get much better, like,
Yeah, no, like Jim McGuinness kind of put it right. Like, I do think that the Leinster Championship has taken a massive step back to being what it was. Like, you look back at the start of the century, you go back to the start of the 2000s, like, Offaly won it in 97, Kildare won it in 98, Meath 99, Kildare 2000, Meath 01, Dublin 02, Laois 03, Westmeath 04. Like, it was changing hands every year. It was such a competitive province. And it's on its way back to being that, because you have Kildare getting better, Westmeath getting better, Meath getting better, Louth getting better, and to be honest, Dublin a little bit on the slide. So the gap is closing in both directions. Dublin's team isn't what it was, and the other teams are getting better. Because one stat that everyone forgets about, and I don't know how we're back at Leinster, but we're here. One stat that everyone forgets about is, besides Dublin, no other Leinster team stayed in Division 1 from 2013 onwards. Everyone else, once Kildare and Meath came up, straight back down. And that meant that Dublin were always playing Division 2, Division 3 teams. Like, what did you expect when they had literally the greatest team of all time? Like, of course they were going to win. And whereas now we have a competition again. Liam says here, Michael Murphy might just be the second coming of the Lord Almighty.
Game he had yesterday, catching balls out of the sky and running, like, he's on, like, no end to this lad, like, he's unbelievable, like,
Yeah. Remember, like, how, Matthew, again, I'll try to tell, how does he just come back off, like, retirement for 2 years and just back into an Ulster final? It's like he never left.
It isn't, though. It was absolutely exceptional watching him yesterday. Obviously, extra time, when it took its toll, the obvious kind of ensued, and he was pulling up. Paddy McBrearty came on just out of interest, like, that's not a bad replacement to come on. Another guy that's won an All-Ireland in 2012.
Yeah.
But just the catch in the first half from Murphy with one hand, the mark that he took, it's just oozing class. It's
joke,
awful.
isn't it?
It's
Like,
unreal. You know,
I
and
bet he's really smart as well, and I bet he actually is a lovely guy. I've met him.
Yeah.
I interviewed him for TTGAR, and he's a lovely guy. And I'm like, someone as talented as you would be kind of, but he is a gent. So, and you saw as well, like Sean, just speaking on Michael Murphy, he came back to Donegal, and he does give that impression of someone who's either all in or all out. And Jim obviously twisted his arm. He came back. You saw him hugging his dad at full time when they were Ulster champions again. You saw how much it meant to him. Yeah,
and I think you need kind of characters like that in the GAA. You know, like on the sideline you have like two great managers like McGeeney and McGuinness, like two legends of the game, and then to have like some Michael Murphy there, like people will come to see him watch him alone here, like, you know, and he started in 2012. He's done it all, and he doesn't need to really do it anymore. But he just, I think you need characters like that, and it adds to the games. You know, I know they can't go on forever, but this lad seems like he can. So. You need people like that in the games, you know. 100%.
For sure. I mean, he's Donegal's version of Stephen Cluxton, just timeless. Like I literally, lads, I've no memory of life without Stephen Cluxton. Stephen Cluxton joined the Dublin team in 01. I was born in 01. So I literally have no idea what it's like. John O'Malley says if they were to meet again, it would be a different result, bearing in mind Armagh were without Rian O'Neill. If I'm being honest, as an Armagh fan, they didn't make the most of their purple patch. They missed a few chances. Raymond Gilburn says, I backed the draw in the Ulster final 7-1. Glad the ref blew it up a little bit early in 70 minutes. Felt he should have allowed kick out one more phase of play. Brian says the drop-off, but I believe the drop-off in standard Gaelic football in Dublin, secondary schools in the last 10 years is the huge issue. Look, I don't know if it's a structure problem. I did see Alan Brogan tweeted that. Look, you're just not going to produce another Brian Fenton just like that. Like it doesn't happen. You don't produce, like, Kilkenny, in my opinion, definitely in terms of hurling, you could say have probably, like, feel free to challenge in this as, but definitely one of the best school systems in terms of getting hurlers through. And you don't just pull another Henry Shefflin out the ground. Like, you don't just, like, those players are generational for a reason. 100%.
Like I went to St. Kieran's, which is like the hurling school, like, you know, hurling, and they kind of, you're never going to get like another Henry Shefflin, but you might get, there's a lot of lads coming through now, and we're kind of like Dublin in a way where you could say transition is 10 years since we won it, but like players that are playing now want to be their own players. They're not trying to emulate someone else, you know, and of course you'd like to have another Henry Shefflin there, but you have to kind of build, as I say, like, you know, build and keep going, hope for the best.
For sure. Matthew, just on this, oh my God, my head's gone blank. How on earth does that happen? Right, we'll jump back in with Donegal Armagh. So, going on the game itself, Donegal were far ahead of stages. Armagh managed to close it back. Of course, it went to extra time. Do you think that anybody should have edged it in normal time, though?
If any team was going to edge it, it was going to be Donegal, because, as I mentioned previously, the Hugh McFadden goal, I thought that was the deciding factor, and all their forwards were bang on form. Oisin Gallen had 4 shots in the first half, converted every single one. Like, I knew Oisin Gallen was an excellent player, but to have 100% shot accuracy, that's superb. Paddy McBrearty was on form and freeze when he was on the pitch. Michael Murphy, as we mentioned previously, absolutely outstanding. Darragh Bwede wasn't at his best, but you had other guys step out. Kieran Thompson took 2 monster 2-pointers in the first half, and you were thinking Donegal's players were on form here. You could argue the other way as well. If Ben Creedy's chance goes in, we might have been thinking about a different story there, but it was just an incredible game of football. But to answer your question, probably Donegal edged it in normal time if you're looking at who was going to edge it. But one guy that deserves a mention, I have to mention this as well. Look at the stats as well. 21 frees across the 90 minutes, including extra time. Brendan Cawley, the referee, deserves a lot of credit. Absolutely brilliant performance. Like that. The thing was, I've been saying this for years, he's the best ref in the country, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He doesn't draw attention on himself. He lays down the law. He's strict with the players when he needs to be, and he lets the game flow. Mm-hmm. And he's contributed to the new rules very, very well as well. I think generally he's the best ref in the country. I was disappointed he didn't get the All-Ireland final last year with Armagh and Galway. It was Sean Hurston that got it. Mm. This guy has to get the All-Ireland final this year. I don't
think
care.
him,
He
or,
has
him
to
or
get
Martin
it.
McNally. I
True,
like
yeah.
Martin
Yeah.
McNally as well. I think he's a very good ref. Look, I thought he refed the Leinster final really, really well. Sean, at the start when we were previewing the game, this was during the week on Matthew's channel. Really, really good episode. Really long episode. We were getting delirious as hell by the time the episode coming towards an end. Don't get me started on Zimmer, whatever, Cusick Park.
Zimmer Boymet Park.
Zimmer Boymet, Cusick Park, yeah. But what we were saying then is we wouldn't be surprised. This was before the final. We wouldn't be surprised if the roles reversed. If Armagh won Ulster and Donegal won the All-Ireland. Now, Donegal have shaded it obviously by a point, but come on, both of these are going to be in the mix when it comes down to the final in July.
Yeah, 100%. I think if they fight each other, I think it could be Donegal and Galway. I said it like a couple of years ago, but I think they're two very informed teams, and I think they fight each other. It's like an early prediction. I don't know, but yeah, I think it could be Galway and Donegal. I don't know, you're the experts, but yeah.
I think we have to as well. Massive congratulations to Donegal, but we do have to talk about, because it all kicked off at the end there. Like, my take from looking at the videos, and I could be wrong, my take looking at the video is you can see a Donegal lad running in front of the Armagh bench, and I think he's giving them the go figure, like, like points at them type. One of them just didn't take it well. You can see on Jason's page, Low for Bread GA Pod, follow if you haven't already, but you can see someone throws a box, like someone just lets him have it. And then all of a sudden, it got really dangerous for a second because fans were in there as well. And there was 6 or 7 like fully grown men, inter-county men, throwing leather at each other. And like that could have got really bad really quick. And fair play to Jim, fair play to Kieran McGeeney for getting their lads out of there, because that could have got very bad very quickly. And I kind of gathered this as well because Aidan Forker was in front of Jim McGuinness, and that where he's pointing at him, and I think, and this, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think he was saying something along the lines of like, that's bang out of order, and like he shouldn't be doing that, whatever. Do you think that was kind of what, because why would you point like that? Like, I think he was like, that's bang out of order what he's after saying to us, that. Would you, like, because pointing the finger like that, like, I think he was just like, have a bit of class, have a bit of respect, tell your lads to have a bit of respect.
I think, you don't mind during a game a few shoulders or handbag stuff, to call it.
Yeah.
But that's stupid. Like, lads are, you could say they're only professional at this rate, like, to kind of be acting like that on with the game, and sure, whatever happens, especially when you say supporters there and stuff like that. It's never a good look, I suppose. If there's a negative out of the game, that's probably it, isn't it? Like,
yeah. Oh, no. It was one of those things that, like, you don't like to see. The thing is that they patched it up and they managed to just about like hold it off. But if there was one of those lads that came in from the stands who was an idiot, which there's how many thousand of them, there's an idiot somewhere. If that idiot ended up in a position where he could throw a punch at one of the players, now we have fans and players situation. And you look at if you're an NBA fan, the Detroit Pistons versus the Indiana Pacers 2004, when the fans and the players started having a brawl. Like, it can kick off very easily. Matthew, on a little bit of a Debbie Downer, is this a bit of a warning shot to the GA as well, that like it can get bad quick?
It can, absolutely. Similar enough scenes to the 2010 Leinster final as well, coincidentally. It was just ugly.
It was like, we need to get him the fuck out of here, all of a sudden.
That's it, yeah. And the Donegal player, I'm not sure exactly who it was, but it was, and I'd agree with Aidan Farker in that case, it was bang out of order. Coincidentally, Aidan Farker did something in the league that was below the belt, so just putting that out there. But I think Aidan Farker was absolutely correct, no doubt about it. And Jim McGuinness didn't tell his player to do that, and I'm sure Jim would have actually said in the dressing room afterwards that you can't do that.
I did see, like, when Jim was talking with Aidan Forker, he was being like, what happened? Like, he wasn't being like, fuck off, like, to Aidan Forker. He was being Why? What happened? Why are you so angry at me? What did I do? Like that. Yeah, he didn't come across confrontational to Aidan Forker. Forker was kind of saying to him, like, I think he was saying, get your boys in check, like, put manners on him, like, tell him not to do that. From an Armagh fan's perspective, Sean O'Malley says, can't blame the lad for throwing the punch. Absolutely uncalled for, rubbing it in like that when emotions are running high. Yo, I'm a bitter Armagh fan, but someone Donegal had no class. Look, a game like that, it's hard to not.
The thing was, Séamus, and it's important to mention this, it was one player. It was one player.
It was one player, yeah. It was one player. And the other thing is, they do have history. You look back at how, was it 2 years ago that they played in Ulster and there was a brawl at full time? Like these two teams do have history. Like, there's a lot of players that have marked each other time and time again. I've no doubt they've had quite a few scuffles. And I feel like in a game like that, when emotions are that high, Armagh coming in as All-Ireland champions, Donegal are coming in as reigning Ulster champions, and Armagh want that Ulster title so badly, and Donegal take it away from them. Like, look, I'm not saying I condone it, him rubbing it in his face, but I'm saying I'm not shocked either that someone wanted to rub it in a bit, like, haha, we beat you. Still, when you run out and you throw a box at him, now you've completely upped the stakes. Like, if you completely up the stakes, because I'm not saying that it's all his fault, but I'm saying if you'd let him run off and be like, go on, fuck off, like, you rubbed it in our face. But once you run on and you deck him, now we're talking, it's a brawl. And like, it could have got pretty bad there. But thankfully, it didn't. Big respect to Beginny, big respect to Jim McGuinness, big respect to the Gardaí who were there as well and managed to kind of break it up real quick, and it managed to be kept under control. And just what an occasion, what an event, what an event. And for me, it's one of the events that you have to go to in your life, an Ulster final. You have to go to. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm glad they didn't do it in Croke Park, because the atmosphere just looks different class when it's in Clonus. There's so much history there, everything like that. Unbelievable stuff. Congratulations to Donegal, worthy Ulster champions for 2025. Back-to-back, unbelievable stuff. After extra time for Armagh, wouldn't be too down in the dumps about it. They will be back in the mix for the Ulster Championship next year without doubt. And with Rian O'Neill back in, who knows, they could be able to get over the line this time. Now, we are going to get onto the Tailteann Cup later in the episode, but we are going to first focus on the hurling, and we're going to start off with this one. The All-Ireland champions, unbelievably, are on the rocks already. 4-18 to Tipperary, 2-21 to Clare in Cusack Park. Liam here says, he says, let me get the comment up. He says, don't worry, Matthew, given yesterday's result, you won't be mentioning Cusack Park's name, new name for a while. Unbelievable result for Tipperary. You saw the video at the end. Liam Cahill, how relieved, how happy he was. Matthew, I'll come to you first as a Munster man. What do you make of this? Clare on the rocks.
They are, and yeah, it's a long time ago since they came back in that second half and were going to the car players and things like that. But look, I'll leave that out of it now. I'll leave it out of it. But this was, I did call it, Séamus. I said Tip would win this game. I think Clare, even with Shane O'Donnell back in the team and Tony Kenny, Tony Kenny was in for most of the week, and like, it's a credit to himself that he came back on and scored 1-1 and produced that magic moment for the penalty goal. But they were clearly not their full fitness at all, and I think this Clare team, and to be honest, it's the history of Clare. I know this will go on with the meme of George O'Keefe. Says the history of the Tottenham. Clare do not do well when they win the All-Ireland the next season. Like, you look at 2013, they went out in the first round of the qualifiers to Wexford. Yeah, and that was a Wexford team that was not at a high standard at all.
They were in rebuild mode that year, I remember.
Yeah. And yeah, it was a shock at the time, but maybe it was a realisation. Clare do not do well defending their crown at all. And generally, in the Cork game, how they got into that game was they got in the face of the second half and they got Shane Barrett sent off. That was how they got back into that. In the Waterford game, they were outclassed. and Waterford didn't rise to the pressure that Clare put on them. And in this game, Tip really rang home the goals in the first half. John McGrath, what a performance. 2 goals and 3 points in this game. Andy Armand, outstanding for centre forward as well. Tip deserved a lot of credit. Darren McCarthy wasn't in this game. And we were kind of worrying during the week, how will Tip approach this game without the guy? But absolutely brilliant. And I did say at a point to you, Séamus, like they were down to 14 men against Cork. They'd still had over 40 shots. They had more turnovers. They were very good at their puck outs. And that was with 14 men on the pitch. Jason Ford was outstanding with 15 points in Páirc Uí Chaoimh that day. There was still a potential in Tip, but it was the worry, could they back it up? And that was a statement of intent. It was a brilliant performance from them. What was a crucial score, actually? Many people talk about John McGrath's scores, but Owen Connolly's free from long range to just push that margin out a bit further in the second half. That was an outstanding score. He's been doing that all year, Owen Connolly. And it was a brilliant performance. From a Tipperary point of view, Liam Cahill teams, a lot of people would be saying, okay, they peak in the league, they don't do well in the Munster Championship. This was a chance last night to shut the media up about this. And they did it. It was a brilliant performance by them. Again, they have to back it up next week against Waterford. Brilliant performance by them. Clare fell asunder, but as much as many people would be jumping on the bandwagon and saying that Clare are out of the championship, they aren't just yet, because there is a scenario if Cork beat Limerick and Cork beat Waterford, and then Tip beat Waterford, and Clare, all they have to do then is beat Limerick, and they're still in the championship. But the crazy thing about that scenario is Limerick are out of the championship.
Yeah.
But one thing is,
which would you rather?
Yeah.
Which would you rather?
Limerick.
Limerick on
probably Limerick. Yeah. Yeah. To be fair, the way
Dan would be having a field day.
The thing is, in terms of a hurling point of view, probably Limerick. But the way the fans have gone on about the whole year, I probably would rather Clare out.
Sean, what would you prefer to see, Limerick or Clare fall out from a Kilkenny perspective?
I obviously know despite Limerick have been class. I think the reason why I wouldn't want them in is because they'd probably beat us again. Do you know what I mean? So last year, so if we get them both gone, that'd be great. I know, but no, it's tough one because it's mad all different scenarios that could happen. You know, but I do think I still think Limerick will somehow get through. It's what they do, isn't it? But it is crazy to see like the Clare All-Ireland champions and they could be gone. You know, and I suppose that's the joys of Munster hurling. We're talking about Ulster football, but Munster hurling is class sight to behold as well. And you love when you just 5 teams are in and they could all finish first or finish fifth. You know, it's class. But it's incredible. And like the John McGrath, these lads still hurling unbelievable. Like, and again, like we were saying with Michael Murphy, is there any end to these lads? I don't think there is. But,
no McGrath as well.
Yeah,
no McGrath is just timeless.
Absolutely flying it, yeah. And we say like I always say Tip kind of in transition, a bit like Kilkenny in a way, kind of were the team a couple of years ago. But I always say Tip are never. You can never really write them off, no matter how. Maybe a bit like Kilkenny, like how bad the teams might be. You can never write them off. And like you were saying, Matthew, about they had to go down, maybe shut the media up a small bit and get a result against Clare and back it up. And yeah, they definitely did. Yeah, I certainly did.
No, for sure. Sean, I'll go back to you on this actually, because a lot of people will jump on Clare as All-Ireland champions and now they're on the rocks, and a lot of people will be kind of pointing and laughing and everything like that because they have the target on their back. They're the All-Ireland champions. But we have to give Tipperary credit. The Cork game, they had Darren McCarthy sent off right at the start. I personally think Cork still would have won. I think Cork are just a little bit higher right now. But for Tip, in their other games, they drew at Limerick in an amazing game, and now they've gone away to the All-Ireland champions and beat them. And as Matthew was saying, Tip are coming into this year, everybody throwing that at Liam Cahill, Liam Cahill syndrome, here we go, they're going to burn out in the championship and they'll have peaked in the league again. So you saw how much it meant to him there when full-time went. He's proved a lot of the doubters wrong, even with just this win. Even if they don't get out of the Munster Championship now, a win like this and a performance like this shows that there is something good coming there, Tip.
Yeah, 100%. Back to win the minor, was it 2022? Got the under-20s there. They've had that team with kind of crop young player like Darren McCarthy coming through, and they're kind of really starting to flourish, you could say now. And like in the league, they're a great league, and they rightly so got to the final. Yeah, they were beat, but still get to a league final was great. And then they started well, and you wouldn't call them flukes. Like they obviously bet Clare, like saying drew at Limerick. Like you don't go down, you don't fluke that. I don't think. Do you know what I mean? You might get a few lucky breaks and stuff like that, but you have to go and beat the All-Ireland champions. Like obviously Clare are the All Ireland champions, and yeah, you had to go beat who's in front of you and to get a result against Limerick. It's brilliant, and it remains to be seen now if is it the Waterford they still have to play, or is it
Waterford.
Waterford, yeah.
Where like have all in performances, can they back it up and get another result? Sorry, and yeah, Waterford are obviously going well themselves, so it's who knows. It's
that game is going to be a banger. Waterford tip is going to be like
have Clare, and they'll obviously want to come out all guns blazing. So next couple of weeks are going to be very interesting, and yeah, have to enjoy it, isn't it?
Well, sure, we've seen the great escape last year with Cork in terms of, but Cork were actually in a like more likely position to survive. Clare are literally on the brink, like they need everything to go right. But Matthew, when you were spelling it out, it doesn't sound out of the realm of possibility that Clare could survive. Like that's why I didn't put in the title that Clare are gone. I put in the title that they're on the brink, because Cork were on the brink last year, and we all know what happened. They came within a whisker of winning the All Ireland. So the Ireland Championship do not count anyone out. Sean O'Malley says here, Clare were lucky this wasn't a hammering tip, missed a lot of chances, especially with the wides. And then Brian O'Riordan says it was a very big and impressive performance from Tip, outstanding. We're going to move from the Munster Championship then over to the Leinster Championship. This was billed as being the most competitive game. It didn't turn out to be in the end. Galway 129, Wexford 216 at Pearse Stadium. Sean, as a Kilkenny man looking at potential competitors for the Leinster crown, what did you make of Galway and Wexford in this one?
Yeah, to be fair, Galway were good. Obviously, they had poor starts to obviously we bet them in Nolan Park, and but yeah, it looked like they're kind of starting to come good. Yeah, they looked like they're good, especially the home. I think in Pearse Stadium is like nearly a fortress for them now. Do you know what I mean? And but when you go across to Wexford, it's kind of hard to know where Wexford are going. You know, on paper they always have a good team put out there, but to lose by that much, you'd be thinking, I don't know where do they go. But in terms of the final now, like you think, albeit if they kind of get there, that's like jumping the gun a bit, but it probably will be Galway. Do you think how things work out? It could be Dublin, or same as they're going. They're a hard team to beat, and
we'll only agree to play it if it's not in Croke Park. It's in Parnell Park, because if it's in Croke Park, I don't think we've a hope. But
yeah, let's find a should be moved, because I know, unless it was like maybe like the Wexford and Offaly in a Leinster final or something, they'd sell a good crowd then. But if it was Kilkenny and Dublin, maybe have it somewhere down the country or Moore Park or something.
That would be deadly. Like imagine the atmosphere.
Yeah, because I was at in 2013. I remember in the was the Leinster semi-final, and it was Dublin and Kilkenny. I think it was a draw the first time. It went to a replay, and then Dublin bet us.
Danny Sutcliffe's goal. I remember.
It was one of those games that always sticks out in my mind, and that was a great Kilkenny team after winning the All Ireland, so maybe if the GA are listening, I know maybe have Leinster final was maybe in a more neutral venue like O'Moore Park or O'Connor Park or something like that. But yeah, look, I think the competitiveness in Leinster hurling, it was kind of the last year was there. Carroll drawn with us and stuff like that. But I don't know. I still think, not without being too biased, you might agree with that. Can you do a bit more firepower than the rest of them? I think Galway.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, with Galway, you never know. Like I did kind of make a prediction. I said I think Galway might win the Leinster this year, but I've seen how they. I suppose still a few games to go. But if I was calling now, I think it'll be Kilkenny and Galway. But
I would agree, and then I think Kilkenny would have too much for Galway in the final. I think Donoghue has come back into a completely different team than he had. But Matthew, when we were previewing this game, I went for Galway and you and Liam went for Wexford. But the thing that we were all agreed on was we thought it was going to be a close game. And it was for like periods, and then Galway just pulled away and left Wexford for dust. What was it in that final quarter that Wexford just had no answer to Galway?
I suppose just Galway's substitutes are coming on. Conor Cooney came on and got a goal. And you look at Galway's subs that actually came on, and they made a massive difference. I suppose Wexford had a lot of injuries this year, and Conor McDonagh came on. It was almost like, throw him on. Let's see what happens here. He was obviously unfit. He didn't look the Conor McDonagh that we all know and love. Obviously, he didn't look entirely fit. But I look at Galway's substitutes and who actually came on for them, and that was crucial for Galway in turning the game. Like Anthony Burns added a trade up front. Kevin Cooney obviously set up the goal for Conor Cooney. Sean Lennon got a point after coming on. Ronan Glennon as well. So Galway just had a stronger bench in coming on, and of course they had assigned Assassin and Cathal Mannion on the team, which massively helps. And even Cathal Mannion, he's the top scorer for play and overall in the hurling championship so far. He's 235 overall in the championship and 120 for play. That's or 115 for play. Should I say? That's absolutely excellent. 10 points against Kilkenny, 2-8 against Offaly, 17 points yesterday. I think 89% shot accuracy against Wexford, 17 points taken out in 19 shots. That's absolutely superb. And even looking at his shots from play over his last 3 games, the first 2 games were started by Maurice Brosnan from the Irish Examiner. 22 shots from play in his last 3 games, 115 taken. That's 73%. Like, if Galway, if that was the worry about Galway that I had in the league, they didn't have brilliant attacking players. Like, they had about, I think it was 25, 26 different scores. Not one player was stepping up. If anything, it was Declan McLaughlin and Anthony Burns, who were new players kind of coming into the panel, or in Declan McLaughlin's case, about 2 or 3 years on the panel. But Cathal Mannion has really stepped up, and he hasn't done so over the last few years. But if to score 17 points, that's what some teams were managing in the championship as a team. So to do it as an individual, it's absolutely brilliant. And he is definitely one player that has stepped up. And many people will say it's the Leinster Championship, it's easy enough. But even look at the opponents that he has played. Offaly could provide a tough opposition in Tullamore. Kilkenny and Nolan Park, I know, as Sean mentioned previously, they didn't perform well that day. But it was just, he definitely stepped up for Galway. And if he wasn't here for Galway, Galway would be nowhere in that Kilkenny game. And yesterday was just an outstanding display. So he deserves a lot of credit for his performance.
Oh, no, he certainly does. He's been absolutely superb. Liam White has an interesting request here. First, he just says, can we skip Offaly Kilkenny? Kind regards. Absolutely not. You think I'm going to get Seán Carroll on and not talk about Kilkenny? Kilkenny 425, Offaly 216, and Nolan Park. Sean, you must be delighted with that.
Yeah, I suppose. Look, and like, well, Liam, no respect to Liam, I'm from Offaly, but it probably was a routine win. You could say. To 425 to 216, and it was roughly 13 points at half time. Now you'd be hoping, like you're saying, the competitiveness. Like, Offaly are a good team, they're good young lads coming through, but I suppose Kilkenny had that bit more experience and class and being a home in Nolan Park, and obviously the man himself, TJ, first championship appearance of the year, and he got 2-9, I think 2-7 from player or something like that, 2-something. So you imagine the stats anyway, but it was a great performance from TJ and the rest of the guys coming through. And like I think Kilkenny have a good kind of crop of younger lads coming through and kind of starting to gel with the more experienced lads as well. But good results, and I suppose you need to be beating teams if you are. You need to be beating them convincingly, and that's what got the job done, like I say.
For sure, and you have more or less swept everyone before you so far in the season. I mean, I haven't seen a competitive game in the championship. I thought Galway would be that game. It wasn't.
Yeah,
is that somewhat of a concern? Because it definitely was a little bit of a bother for us in the Leinster Championship on the football side that we, tiptoed through. And then when Mayo would play us, like, it would be like almost a storm, because it would be the first team that stood up to us. Is there somewhat of a fear there from a Kilkenny perspective that, say, for example, the Leinster final against Dublin wasn't a contest when the Cody goal went in, you knew it was done.
Yeah.
Whereas then the semi-final against Clare, you were cruising in the first half, and then when Clare brought the heat in the second half, it was kind of the first time you'd experienced it in Croke Park all year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you need to kind of have competitive games. And there's no point going and hammering a team. It's kind of no experience for anyone. But I think the kind of Wexford game, usually it's obviously down in Wexford Park. It's always served up from great games. Even last year, I think the bet was it 2023 or last year, the bet was down there anyway. But it always tends to be a good game. And I think, looking like semi-finals then, like Kenny, they tend to be up by a good bit and then drop off for that middle quarter, whatever you call it. And that's where I think if it was negative about Kenny, it's probably just about the whole, maybe taking the foot off the gas in a way. And but going back to your question, I don't think it's no point having these games where there's 20 points at half time or stuff like that. And I think going back to the Antrim game last year, like, Antrim are a very good team, and then was it 5:30 to like 1:13, and you know like a good challenge. And then like the game in Carlow last year, it was 120 apiece. So that was, the atmosphere down in Carlow that day was classic, But you'd be hoping that this championship maybe would grow into more competitive. So look, as I said, like I think it doesn't help at all. But for Kilkenny, they can only play who's in front of them, and there's no point just playing teams for the sake of it,
For sure. Liam says here, he says TJ was savage, John Donnelly did good, Stephen Donnelly did very well at corner forward, Cian Kenny was strong in the middle, just a different animal. Then Sean O'Malley drops in a few comments on Dublin. He says, I think Dublin could be building something with the hurlers. The building squad depth, having been without Burke and O'Donnell for the majority of the year. O'Donnell will not be back for the year. He's in with the footballers for the year. Do you know what? Maybe if we get knocked out and we're still somehow in the hurling, if I was Niall O'Callaghan, I'd be ringing up on and telling him, get ready. Sean also says maybe more GAA players in Dublin will prefer hurling in the future if what Alan Brogan says is true about their production line. That's been probably the biggest problem for Dublin in the last decade, is any talented dual player just picks football. Like one of the best for sure forwards in our club championship over the last few years has been Conor O'Callaghan, and he's into hurling, and he's never going to pick hurling. He's going to stick with the football. But more now talented dual players are starting to pick the hurling, and that's definitely a good sign for the hurlers. But Sean says here, we'll see when they play against Kilkenny though, and that's always the test, because we've tended in the last 2 years, and I'll pull up this result because we beat Antrim 325-19 in Corrigan Park. Very impressive result. Very difficult place to go. Very impressive result to get. But our seasons have tended to go a similar way. We tend to either beat Wexford by a point or draw with them. We tend to do better than you think against Galway. We tend to lose to Kilkenny, beat who we should beat in Antrim, Laois, Offaly, Westmeath, whoever's up that year. And then we tend to finish third or lose the Leinster final and then go out in the quarterfinal. That's been how our years have been since the round robin. I really want to break through that glass ceiling now with O'Callaghan, and I really do think that we're capable of doing it. I think we're capable of building a really strong team there around that Nafina crop that won the All-Ireland Club Championship, around Donald Burke, around Chris Crummey, around Conor Burke. Like, I think we've got good, talented players there, and you throw in the likes of Brian Hayes, like, who's a young superstar there. Like, he's fantastic. I think we're building something. I don't think we'll catch us this year, but I think maybe 2 years down the line it would be a good game. And I think we've seen it in Parnell Park how good a game that was, that there could be a really, really good rivalry coming down the tracks, hopefully over the next few years, just from a spectator's point before anything. And then I am a dub. I want to see us compete. I want to see us win. That 2013 Leinster final win over Galway is etched in my head forever. Sean says, is there no chance of Con switching? I would probably say no. I don't see him switching, but I could be wrong. I mean, he literally has won everything except an All-Ireland Hurling Championship with Dublin. And if he was to do that, then he's literally completed Gaelic Games. He's won everything he can win, which would be just ridiculous.
Football or in hurling in Dublin, like Coola, obviously, they're a fantastic team. Doing the Club All-Ireland, didn't they win the Club All-Ireland last year?
They won it in the football last year.
Yeah,
2017, 2018, they did the back-to-back in hurling.
Yeah, but you look at like Nafina, even Kilmacud in the hurling. I know they're a big football team, but in the hurling, they're consistently getting to like the Leinster Hurling Finals in terms of club. It's like the hurling, it is growing. It is a big deal up in Dublin as well. And like the game against us last year, you probably should have won that in Parnell Park, obviously.
You're so close.
Well, you were 100% the better team, but that's what Kilkenny tend to do, is get a lucky break and get a goal and kind of snatch and grab a win if we have to do it, if they have to do it. But I think Dublin hurling is on the rise, and would you say you're near the second best out at the rest, near at the minute. I would like to see Dublin go on, and like you're saying, 2013 they bet us, and then obviously won the Leinster, went on to the semi-final, lost to, was it Cork that year?
Yeah.
Oh, they were unlucky. Who knows?
Get that smile off your face.
In fairness, we robbed you, Doctor.
Oh no, it was I remember as well. I remember my dad watching that game because Ryan O'Dwyer had the red helmet on. And my dad kind of formed the theory. He was like, "Will he take that red helmet off? Because it's so obvious that it's him." Just goes straight over to the red helmet whenever there's a brawl. I get to, and I remember that red card just flipped. And once Dalo left, we've kind of been one step forward, one step back, and then we've kind of we haven't been able. But I really think we could get something going, and we have Galway and Parnell Park this year, and Galway actually haven't beaten Dublin in the round robin. They've yet to beat us in our own home patch. And I really, we knocked out the Micheál Donoghue first era Galway team that were off back-to-back All-Ireland finals, and they won it in 2017. I would fancy us to be able to pip them this year as well, and I think we could be joining you in the Leinster final, Sean. I am aware, Sean, that you're in the car and you are just off the Leinster final, so I don't want to keep you too late. But however long you want to stay, because me and Matthew are going to jump through the rest of the games at the Joe McDonagh, the Tailteann Cup, LGFA Camogie.
Right to let you go because I had to back.
Yeah. No, because I wouldn't want to keep you too long, but it's been
Thanks
an absolute pleasure having you on, man. Thank you.
so much. We'll see you again, lads. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Right, there he goes, Seán as if. Do check him out. To be honest, I wouldn't know how you wouldn't have heard of Seán, but he's a massive social media on TikTok and everything like that. So do check him out if you haven't already. Porter says Kilkenny getting practice matches while Munster teams battering each other. Unfair, boring. Kilkenny, Sean O'Malley says Con could be the GOAT dual player. I mean, there's a very, very good argument. Liam White says our positives were Charlie Mitchell, Dan Burke, Donald Shirley, and Oisin Kelly. Matthew, we'll jump back to the Tailteann Cup and we'll speed it up because we're already at an hour. I'll start with Group 1. Kildare, 36 points. Leitrim, 11 points in St. Connacht's Park. Sligo, 215. Tipperary, 210 in Kilcoyne Park. Your thoughts on Group 1's round 1?
We thought we'd get some beatdowns out of the new rules. I think we just got our first one of the championship. That was, and to be fair, again, you have to give Kildare a bit of credit. To be fair, they're taking the Tailteann Cup seriously. Brian Flanagan said it to Damien Lawler last night in RT as well. If Kildare take it seriously, they will go far in this competition. I'm sure we'll talk about a team that are not taking it seriously. They should later on. On to Sligo and Tipperary, yeah, it was a very good performance, very professional from Sligo. Obviously, Alan McLaughlin and Pat Bland Jr. getting 2-5 out of their total this game. But Tipperary, Sean O'Connor getting 1-4. They could still have a say in this championship, especially with Leitrim getting the battering what they did, and especially with third place might get you into a preliminary quarterfinal. It might not, considering New York are waiting in the wings. But yeah, I think Tipperary will be generally happy with that performance. Only lose by 5 points to a Sligo team that would have been favourites for this competition. So Sligo and Kildare are probably going to be the top two in this group.
I agree. I think they're definitely, and then I would say both of them are serious candidates to actually win the whole thing if they are on song. Group 2's round 1. We had Offaly beating Wicklow 213 to 11 points in O'Connor Park, and Laois beating Waterford 28 points to 116 in O'Moore Park. So the two favourites in those games come out on top.
Yeah, good performance by Offaly. Obviously, Jack Bryant hitting 1-5, 2 points for, or 1-5, sorry, 1-2 pointer. Dylan Hyland hitting 4 points as well, 1-3. So good performance from Offaly overall. And Liam was at the game as well, so I'm sure he might chip in with a few comments there. Laois and Waterford were competitive for that game, and pleasantly surprised at Port Laois because Waterford have got a hard year. They lost to Tipperary and Munster. They had a hard year in Division 4, so you were hoping that bounce back a small bit in the Tailteann Cup. And to be fair, they produced a decent performance, ultimately to no avail though. Cathal Lee getting 5 points for Leitrim, Ronan Coffey getting 4 points, or for Laois, should I say, and Mark Barry getting 4 points as well. So that's a total of 13 points for the full forward line. So that's a serious contribution there. So Laois will still be favourites for this competition, but I think Offaly will probably be the favourites in this group.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think especially that they've started well. Like, they haven't slipped up in their first 2 games. I think it's a showcasing of who is the dominant 2 in that group. Group 3, Limerick beat London 25 points to 115 in Newcastle West, and Westmeath hockeyed Antrim 424 to 117. Westmeath kind of end the streak of somehow finding ways to come out on the wrong side of seriously tight games. In my opinion, Westmeath are one of the front runners to win the Tailteann Cup.
Absolutely, yeah. And when you consider one of the totals for one of their players, Luke Loughlin, we keep talking about it every time Westmeath come on, 117. That's like, gee, I know it's Antrim, but wow, that's incredible. Like, you know what? He scored, I think it was
Antrim can be solid at the back. Antrim have been. Like, it's the form that he's in right now. Like, we saw the tally that he racked up against Kildare, including that boom over free that he belted over from miles out. Like, the fella's in the form of his life. And
he'll eat this Tailteann Cup for breakfast. Yeah. He's absolutely incredible form at the moment. To be fair to Westmeath, that is their first competitive win since they beat down in the Division 3 finals. So fair play to them for that. And they have deserved a win. And finally, they got one over Antrim. And that might give them a bit of confidence to push on. And as for Limerick, a very good performance by them to beat London at home in Newcastle West. Obviously, James Naughton and Emma Richter gained 4 points each for those 2 forwards. I watched them up close against Cork as well. And those 2 are very, very good players. They have a serious opportunity to do it well. Tailteann Cup as well, but I think look at this group, Westmeath, especially with Loughlin there, they're going to be serious. And especially Danny McCartan scored a goal as well today, and Matthew Whitaker as well. So good that they got on the goal scoring sheet.
For sure. We are now going to move to Group 4. And if you're talking about who's not taken serious by any chance this game, Fermanagh 2-18, Carlow 3-18 at Brewster Park, while Wexford did what was expected of them, beating Longford 2-24 to 1-18 in Wexford Park. We actually had a comment in about that. Porter here says, bad loss for Fermanagh. Liam White gave us a recap on the Offaly game, actually just here. He said, good opening wing, nothing spectacular, but Jack Bryan kicked 1-5. Coughlin was electric on the ball, already better than last season. And Brian also says, for about Kildare to score 36 is a very big statement indeed. Fermanagh, bad start for them, especially against a Carlow team that are still is in reeling mode after losing Shane Curran only a few weeks ago, which feels like a lifetime ago now, but still, it's a bad start for Fermanagh to the Tailteann Cup.
When you add all the elements, this Carlow team had turmoil off the pitch, number one. They would have been favourites. They would have been the better team, number two. And number three, most embarrassing of all from Fermanagh point of view, this was a home game in Enniskillen.
Mm-hmm.
How on earth do you lose this game? I mean, generally, look, Carlow deserve a bit of credit. Mikey Bambrick scoring 2-4 and John Murphy getting the other goal. But Fermanagh, how many years are we going to talk about this, Séamus? They have the players. They have they have a good manager, Kieran Donnelly. That's why he was selected in the FRC games to be Ulster manager. Out of all the Ulster managers they could have picked, they picked him. And they picked him for a reason, very good coach. And it's one reason they're not taking it seriously. Why is this? They have a serious opportunity to win the Tailteann Cup, which guarantees Sam Maguire football as well. There's a carrot there. Mm-hmm. Why aren't they taking it seriously? Fermanagh fans, leave your comments below because I'm generally intrigued. How many years is this going to happen? They lose the Laois one year where we expected them. That was the year they went up to.
At least that year we're not good. I will take that to the grave because the next game was the semi-final of the Tailteann Cup.
And they conceded 8 goals to Down,
it wasn't like that Laois team was this current Laois team who it's no shame to lose to that team because they're solid under Justin McNulty. It was a Laois team that were about to concede 8 goals in a Tailteann semi-final at Croke Park. So, they
lost to Antrim last year when they probably should have won that quarter-final. And they've started, which they have done every season, and it's poorly. And to be fair, just to give kudos to Wexford for a good result against Longford, Mark Rossiter and Sean Ryan getting 1-1 each. Good win for them. But the stories for Fermanagh, and Carlow deserve credit for the win today to go up to Ulster and get a win. But how many years are we going to talk about this Fermanagh team like this?
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm looking through their team now just to refresh the memory on who they had. The only one that isn't there in the panel that's an obvious miss is Ultan Calm. But I'm looking through the rest of the names are there. Declan McCusker, Shane McGullion there, right half back. Ryan Lyons is there, centre forward. Josh Largo Ellis is there. Garvin Jones is there. Conor Love is there. Darren McGurn is there. Shay Cullen, Lee Cullen, Sean McNally in goal. It kind of looks like the best team without Ulster.
And they probably should have been down in the Ulster quarter-final as well, Séamus, which makes it even more boggling.
Yeah. I think that they're good enough. I think when you see how well Down did winning the Tailteann Cup, when you see how well Antrim did getting to the semi-final and pushing Meath all the way, and it was a Meath team who went on to win it, it is confusing. Porter says, agreed, Matt, about for Fermanagh. We are then going to move. We're going to give a shout out here to the All-Ireland Under-20 semi-final, which took place on today as well. I'm losing my mind here, lads. Tyrone 2-14, Kerry 14 points in the All-Ireland Under-20 semi-final. So the key scorers for Tyrone in this one, obviously Owen McElhone and Noah Grimes with the goals. Owen McElhone with 1-4 to his name. And then at full forward, Rory McCullough with 9 points for the Red Hand in a very, very impressive semi-final win.
Yeah, very good win for Tyrone. And that's impressively at this level. Tyrone have reached 3 All-Ireland finals in 4 years.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. And when you look at almost CBS, the success of the Hogan Cup there, their underage is excelling massively, Tyrone. and you have to give a lot of credit to the Kerry. I'm sure Tomás O'Shea would be disappointed with this, like losing to Tyrone 2 years in a row under 20 as well. And that group of players would have been good under the Mercy Mountauk regime in schools level, like Paddy Lane and Tomás Kennedy. Like Tomás Kennedy actually didn't score anything today. He scored 1-3 against Cork. That was disappointing from a Kerry point of view.
They did well to put a muzzle on him because he was shooting really well against Cork.
He was, but he does question back to Cork. Like Cork were absolutely hopeless in that under 20 final. But look, Tyrone, they have a serious crop of players there. Owen McElhone, and especially Rory McCullough has really shown good this year. Really shown good form. So Tyrone will have a difficult All-Ireland final against either Louth or Mayo. And you look at Louth, the momentum they're taking now after their senior Leinster Championship win. And Mayo have some serious forwards there, so it will be a difficult game for Tyrone. But if they were to win the All-Ireland, that'd be 3 All-Irelands in 4 years at this age grade. Yeah. Production line, Sear season slowing down.
That's savage stuff, isn't it? That's absolutely unbelievable. We're going to then touch on the LGFA provincial finals, which took place across the weekend, starting with Leinster, Dublin beating Meath by 2 goals and 13 points to Meath's 1 goal and 12. Key scorers for Dublin in this game: Hannah Till, 1-4. Ailish O'Dowd with a goal from midfield. Niamh Heatherton with 2 points from full forward as the Dubs retain the Leinster Championship. It was a better effort from Meath than the year before. Vicky Wall with 3 points. Emma Duggan with 7. Niamh Gallagher from centre forward with a goal. But the Dubs were favourites to win this and retain the title.
Yeah, and to be fair, Dublin's bench made a massive difference. Look at this on Scorpio. Carla Rowe got 2 points. Kate Sullivan came on and got 2 points. And Sinead Goldrick got a point off the bench as well. So I think that was the difference in the end. Dublin had that experience and know-how off the bench, and Meath probably didn't. If you look at Vicky Wall and Emma Duggan, as you mentioned there, 10 points out of their 112. Again, over-reliance on them 2 players. They're excellent players, but Meath need more to step up, no doubt about it. But Hannah Tyrrell hit 1-4, Ailish O'Dowd took a brilliant goal. But look at the highlights today as well, briefly shown on RT before the Leinster men's final. But very good win for Dublin. They'll take it into the All-Ireland series now with a lot of confidence. But Meath will too. Like, Meath have some decent players now. They have the 2 girls back in the team as well, which will be a confidence booster for them. But yeah, good win for Dublin, and the bench made a massive difference.
For sure. Sean has a very good comment in here, and this is big coming from an Armagh fan. He says Tyrone could be heading for a dynasty similar to the likes of Dublin if they can blood their youngsters. But Kerry won 5 under-20s in a row that never translated to senior. Is that about minors, Sean? I don't know. Is that minors?
Minors. They haven't won an under-20 since 07 or 08.
Yeah, I think it was minors, and that scared the shit out of me because I remember watching. Just as coming from a dub, I remember watching the Kerry-Mayo minor final. No, Kerry-Derry minor final before Dublin played Mayo in the 2017 final. And there was a certain Mr. David Clifford who was playing in that minor final against Derry, and he scored 4-6. I remember that day and just tore the Derry defence apart. And I remember me and my dad watching being like, this guy is a problem. This is the one player that I'm like, AFL, we got someone here for you. Just look at Fossa and look up David Clifford. Great player.
I remember they came up again. Yeah,
that David is here. I am happy that David is here.
Yeah.
David is there. But
they came up and I'm
just having a bit of banter. A bit of banter. Liam says tough day to be for Meath. Yeah, losing 2 provincial finals, not great. Armagh avoided going through that experience up in Ulster. Armagh did get the job done in their provincial final against Donegal. I'll just get the notes up here. So Armagh getting over the line against Donegal in that Ulster final. Armagh 3-9, Donegal 7 points. Armagh retain their Ulster LGFA title, and they needed this. Fresh off the back of losing the league final to Kerry, and Kerry were ruthless that day, getting their 4 goals. Armagh got 3 this time, 2 being from Aoife McCoy and 1 being from Niamh Coleman. And the goals were all struck at crucial times, and they were all knockout blows for Donegal, especially when the third one went in. There's no coming back from that. Armagh were the Ulster champions here.
To be honest, I think the game was nearly over at half-time. I did throw an eye to this, obviously, while watching Galway and Wexford in the hurling, and Aoife McCoy was absolutely on fire in the first half. 2 goals. They were 2-4 to a point up in the first half, and Donegal didn't score that point for play So Armagh were complete cruise control in this one. Niamh Coleman probably just had the final nail in the coffin with that goal as well. Eve Lavery got 2 points. Niamh Henderson, Emily Drucy, Grace Ferguson, they all contributed very well from Armagh. They ran the bench as well, which was a positive for them going to the All-Ireland series. But what we said during the week was Armagh are Division 1 side, Donegal are Division 2. And unfortunately for the Donegal LGFA team, that just materialised this weekend.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're going to then touch on other results which took place across the LGFA Championship. So this is the last of the ones this weekend that actually had some consequences for the results, because Kerry were already in the Munster final and they drew to Tipperary 1-6 apiece. Tip were already out. And in the Connacht Championship, Galway and Mayo are already in the final against each other, but they played here and Galway got a 10-point win, 2-13 to 9 points in Tuam Stadium. But this one did have consequences, and Waterford got over the line against Cork 3-12 to 1-9 in Dungarvan. And as you were saying, Waterford are flying under the radar. They pushed Kerry very, very close in their Munster clash against them. And you look at the players that Kerry are missing this year, the likes of Emma Dineen, Louise Niver-Hertig, Hannah O'Donoghue, and Waterford, meanwhile, are putting together a very, very strong team, especially up front with Kellyanne Hogan and Lauren McGregor. They're the two that kind of catch my eye. Waterford are building something good here.
Absolutely. Lauren McGregor with 2 goals today. Eve Power as well with a goal on the score sheet. And I did watch this Waterford team. I remember in the little LGFA league during the bank holiday Monday. I don't know if you remember this game in SETU, Séamus, between Waterford and Kerry. And Waterford were very impressive that day. And they were very, very close to Kerry. Fast forward into the Munster Championship group stage, and Waterford only lose by 1 point to Kerry. Is it going to be third time lucky? I think generally this Waterford team looks on fire at the moment, and Tomas Macasir, the manager there, deserves a lot of credit for getting this team up to a new level. Obviously, he would have known Cork inside out, was part of the backroom team in Cork under Shane Renane over the last few years. But for Cork, it is a disappointment. But as Joe Carroll has said throughout the year, they are a work in progress. This is a team that was in Division 2. And they have to build, really. They're probably nowhere near an All-Ireland, but this year is just about building. But for Waterford, they have some serious players. You mentioned Lauren McGregor and Kellyanne Hogan there. Like Eve Power's decent. Obviously, Brie McMaw is a very good player as well in this Waterford team. They have some serious talent. And they will be difficult for Kerry. And the league didn't lie. They were the third best team after Armagh and Kerry. They will be looking in the long grass. They are a serious team, Waterford, and they deserve a Munster final place. And generally, I do think they could give Kerry a right rattle in the Munster final.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree, because as you said, they're getting closer and closer time after time. And what we've seen is, for example, Kerry themselves losing the first final to Meath, losing the second final to Dublin, and they're just taking the data, taking that information playing against teams who've been there and done it. And then when their time came, boy, were they ready. And with this Waterford team, their trajectory is up. And if they can keep this team together, keep Tomas McAteer there, who's doing unbelievable work, they're heading in the right direction. And you look at, there's a gap open up for, the All-Ireland, because Kerry, yes, they are the front runners, but in my opinion, losing the likes of Emma Dineen, Louise Niver-Hertig, Hannah O'Donoghue, and their management team, new management team, I don't think they're quite as strong as they were last year. Still very, very strong, but last year it was so obvious that it was their time. But I feel like Galway are making strides, Waterford are making strides, Armagh are still capable of beating them, in my opinion, especially if Amy Mackin is back fit. I think they're the front runners. Dublin, dark horses as well. I think they're the front runners for the LGFA title this season. We're moving now to the Joe McDonagh Cup round 3. So the fixtures here: Carlow 120, Kildare 222. That's the main result that we're going to analyse here. Westmeath 224, down 20 points, and Laois 528, Kerry 121. So Westmeath getting a big win over down there, because obviously that's keeping themselves potentially surviving in the Joe McDonagh Cup for another year. Meanwhile, Laois definitely did what was expected of them against Kerry, and they look on demon business here. But what a victory for Kildare.
Massive. Unreal. This has been, as Henry Sheffield said at the Saturday game last night, this has been coming for a long time for Kildare hurling. When you look at the success of Naas in the club championship, this has been brewing And we thought that Kildare wouldn't get it this year, considering they lost to Kerry earlier on the Joe McDonagh Cup, but what a performance. To go down to Nate Watch Cullen Park against a Carlow team that were flying in the league, that were flying in the Joe McDonagh, and to produce that performance. And not only beat them, but beat them by, 6 points in the end?
Mm-hmm.
What a performance from Kildare. Obviously, David Qualter with 7 points, James Burke 5 points for play, and we mentioned him numerous times with Naas and Kildare. He stepped up massively. Jerry Hegan with 4 points, Jack Sheridan, Carl Dowling getting the goals. What a performance from Kildare, and they deserve a lot of credit, obviously. For Westmeath and Down, we thought during the week this would be the game to see who will probably be on the lower end and are heading back to the Christy Ring Cup. Unfortunately for Down, who were the Division 2 champions, and deservedly so, it looks like they're going to slip that back down. That's another heartbreaking defeat in a way for Down.
Yeah.
Westmeath, it was a good performance from them. David Williams had an eventful day, 1-6 and a red card. So
yeah.
Yeah. But Eamon Khalid with 4 points, Mark Cunningham with 3, and David O'Reilly with 3 points. A very good performance from Westmeath, and they probably will stay up in the Joe McDonagh Cup because of that result. And for Laois, they got the job done over Kerry, 528 to 121, a very good result. And the performance of the weekend were one of them anyway. We talked about Colin Mannion in terms of point scoring, in terms of goal scoring. James Duggan for Laois, 5 goals and 2 points from play.
Unbelievable stuff.
That's unreal.
I don't care how one side of the game is. Scoring 5 goals in an inter-county match is absolutely ridiculous. Like,
it's unreal. And if he doesn't get chosen for GA Team of the Week, Laois fans might be rioting.
Game's gone then. We're going to move on then to the Christy Ring Cup round 4. And there were some big results here. Derry dismantled Tyrone, 130 to 11 points in Tyrone's own backyard. London also did something similar to Donegal, beating them 219 to 115, whereas Wicklow got the job done comfortably in their own home patch, beating Meath 317 to 16 points. So 3 comfortable one-sided wins here in round 4.
And to be fair, I think Wicklow, they're going under the radar, but this is probably the story of the hurling season. They're on 7 points at the moment out of a possible 8. They're unbeaten in the Christy Ring Cup, and they've played sides like London, they've played Meath as well, and they've beaten Donegal and Derry. Like, they're top of the table. They deserve to be so. They're playing against a Derry team on the last day now who are on 6 points. Wicklow are on 7. I think London are on 5 and Meath are on 4. I don't think Meath can reach the Christy Ring final now, which is, I think that's the first time they've, in a long while, that they're going to go back-to-back seasons in the Christy Ring, which is poor from a me point of view, obviously. But London now play, I think it's London play against, I think it's Tyrone on the last day, and you'd imagine London would win that game. Tyrone are already relegated to the Nicky Rackard, so I think London will be probably in the Christy Ring final. So that leaves the last spot between Wicklow and Derry. If Wicklow were to win that game or draw that game, they'll be there. But on another side as well, actually, I'm doing the math actually in my head. If Wicklow and Derry draw that game, they're both in the Christy Ring final anyway, because London lost to Derry. So would there be match fixing?
Bit of push and pull.
Exactly, there could be. But to be fair, in all seriousness, what a season for Wicklow. And they're going in under the radar. Padraig Dahl with 1-7 and John Toohey with 2 goals. Very good performance from Wicklow. They're definitely the underdog team of the year.
No, for sure. And it's brilliant to see the work being done at all levels. Rudders 38 with a well-timed comment here saying Mayo to win Nicky Rackard, and we are going to move on to the Nicky Rackard Cup next. So let's jump in with that. My computer's been a little bit slow responding at a good time. It's late for the computer as well. Nicky Rackard Cup, Mayo. We'll start off with Mayo, Rudders, obviously, thanks to your comment. Mayo 132, Sligo 117. Unbelievable win there from Mayo in their own backyard. Armagh 215, Louth 19 points. They were the games that took place on the Saturday. And on the Sunday today, Roscommon got a very dominant win over Fermanagh, 427 to 22 points.
Yeah, very good result for Mayo, obviously, and they are serious in this Nicky Rackard Cup. We both said they'd win from the outset, and it looks like to be that way. I think Liam Lavin had a very good performance. for Mayo from play. He got 5 points, 4 from play. Shane Boland got 9 points. Ryan Duffy with 4 points as well. And to beat your rival Sligo by that margin as well is a brilliant result from a Mayo point of view, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. I'm just looking at the Nicky Rocker table here while I speak, but very good result for Armagh, obviously above Louth as well, and a comprehensive win for Roscommon over Fermanagh. Brendan Mulry actually got 8 points from play for Roscommon. From what I was reading, that's a brilliant performance from him. A very good showing, obviously. I'm just looking at the Nicky Rocker table now. So Mayo are going to the final round on 8 points, 3 points out of second, so they've guaranteed top place, so they're in the final at Croke Park. So certainly so the final spot will be between Armagh, Sligo and Roscommon on the final day. So it should be very, very interesting to see who gets it. And in terms of relegation, I think Louth beat Fermanagh earlier on in the campaign, so that might mean Fermanagh are already relegated back down to the Lorimar, which is, it's a shame for them, obviously winning the Lorimar last season and then going straight back down. It's not great for Fermanagh hurling.
Yeah, like it always is, because I feel like sometimes with the different divisions, like we definitely see it between the Liam McCarthy and the Joe McDonagh, that there is a little bit of a yo-yo effect. You know, when you're talking about Meath there, that it's the first season now that Meath are, first season in a long time that Meath are actually missing the boat on promotion out of the Christie Ring. And you do wonder, like, is it the constant up and down and up and down and up and down that players feel like they're making progress and then you're not making progress, and maybe this time's different and you go back down. I feel like it's hard to keep players invested when you feel like you're kind of stuck in a loop almost. But anyway, we move on. The Lorimar Cup round 4. We had Lancashire 2-14, Monaghan 4-14. Big win there for Monaghan away from home. That was on the Saturday. Also on the Saturday, our favourites to win the Lorimar, Cavan, had a big win away from home against Longford, 329-317. Very, very eye-catching performance there from Cavan. And then on the Sunday, Warwickshire beat Leitrim by 217-18 points.
Yeah, very good display from Cavan. It does mean they're definitely in the Lorimar finals, so they're one step closer to getting a prediction right for both of us. So well done to Cavan. It is a very good display from them. But what is interesting in the Lorimar on the final day, Monaghan are going into the final day on 6 points. Longford are going in at 5 points. They play each other. So that is an essential Lorimar semi-final. And Monaghan, a draw will be enough for them. Longford have to win, and Monaghan are at home. So Monaghan will fancy their chances of getting over the line. Longford, that was a difficult defeat to take for Cavan, but they have to get back up the horse now. It's in their hands. They have to beat Monaghan on the final day to go ahead and win that game. But a very good performance from Cavan. All the same, Liam O'Brien with 13 points again. What an outstanding display. Sean Keating with 1-3, Jack Barry 1-2, Eamon McAllister with 1-2 as well. And a good result for Monaghan to keep them in the race of the Lorimar Cup too.
Yeah, for sure. Now we're going to move on to the Camogie. We had 2 Camogie games. Only one of them was played. We'll get to that. The Ulster Senior Camogie Championship Final. We're going to just ignore the elephant in the room for a little bit, and we're going to focus on this game. Antrim beating Derry 217-111 in Dunloy Cucullins. Roisin McCormack with 8 points. Maeve Kelly with one of the goals, and the other goal came from the bench from Orla McAllister. Antrim dominant in this game, deserving winners.
Yeah, brilliant win for Antrim, obviously. And they have their players back now with Roisin McCormack and Maeve Kelly, especially. Cassie MacArthur had another good display with 3 points as well. Derry, it's been a difficult kind of few weeks for them, I'd say, losing the Division 2A final to Offaly as well on a heavy scoreline, and losing this as well on heavy scoreline. But Orla McAllister got 1-1 towards the end to make the scoreline a bit more, a bit better from an Antrim point of view. Obviously, Roisin McCormack, 8 points, 6 for play, from what I was reading. Brilliant display, and one of the best camogie players in the country. I'm not entirely sure will Antrim be a senior team this year, but it is a very good display from Antrim to win the Ulster Championship over Derry. And yeah, hopefully they can develop, because Antrim did reach the quarterfinals 2 years ago in the senior championship where they played Tipperary. So they want to get up to that level pretty soon.
Yeah, I remember that, because I remember being impressed with them that year, and they went out against Tip that day, and that was the day where Caught Devan scored that amazing goal early on, and Tip then kind of took them to the cleaners. And since then, Antrim have gone backwards a lot. Like, we remember them in the league losing to Wexford by that absolutely horrific scoreline, and I remember thinking that they'd really fallen back, but they've arrested the tide. They've got some of their key players back in. Roisin is as good as you'll find anywhere in the country, and to get that win was very, very impressive. There's no doubt that Antrim Camogie team are the queens of Ulster Camogie for sure. And now we're going to address that elephant in the room, because We said it on your podcast, Matthew, that Saturday would be a historic day one way or the other, and it was up to the Camogie Association to decide why it would be historic. Well, they've doubled down once again. Cork versus Tipperary was scheduled to be on Saturday at 1 o'clock.
And it was Cork and Waterford, Séamus.
Apologies. I will fix that up. Let me check that real quick. So, and it's fixed. Apologies. So, on Saturday, me and you said on your podcast, so we said on your podcast, Matthew, that on Saturday, the Camogie Association would have a choice. The day was going to be historic one way or another. And the Camogie Association had the choice. Do you want to make it historic because finally you listen to the players and you let them wear what they choose to wear? Do they want to wear shorts? Do they want to wear the Skorts? Let them have the freedom to choose. 83% of the players want that. Or do you want to double down on this stupid, archaic rule? And they've doubled down on this stupid, archaic rule once again. Now, they have a Congress, an emergency Congress in. I don't know why they didn't just let the players wear the shorts. Like, at this point, I'm like, is it just egos now at this point? Do you not want to have it that the players had their way? Because they knew that the players were going to do it. They knew that the players were going to do it. Cork and Waterford had made no bones about it. We're not wearing the skirts. We're wearing shorts. Tough, deal with it. And the Camogie Association literally just went, right, well, we're taking the keys then. You know, it's my ball. I paid for it. Like, that type of mindset. And it's just embarrassing. Like, the only way... No, there is no way. Like, I just pray that they finally acknowledge what they should have done years ago at this Congress now that they have coming up over the next couple of weeks. Finally acknowledge what you should have done years ago and let the players decide. Because it's been absolutely embarrassing for the association, this. And it's... This other thing as well is I've seen it now covered across virtually every sports platform across social media in Ireland. Off the Ball, Her Sport, RTE, like Rory Stories did a skit on it. I haven't seen one person in any comment section or any content creator. I haven't seen one person back the Camogie Association on their stance. Everyone is in unison that this is ridiculous, yet they consistently double down. And I'm like, what is it like? Because if we're talking tradition, okay, well, let's address that. Tradition. Men's Gaelic football changed the entire rule system. We managed to get over it. And the games are actually better because the players are performing better. They're enjoying themselves better. 70% of players say that they feel uncomfortable in the Skorts. 83% say they want the freedom to choose. Like, do you not think the players would play better if they felt more comfortable on the pitch in what they're wearing? And on top of that, if you want to talk about not changing the rules, the Camogie Association has changed plenty of rules. If you go back and look at the 90s, they used to play on much smaller pitches. Do you remember watching them Laker Gales of Anne Downey and everything like that? And they had much smaller pitches with the makeshift goals on the field. Is that not part of your rules? You change that. Why? Because the players wanted to. Because you wanted to move with the times. This is another example of how you need to move with the times. I pray, I beg, please listen to the players at this Congress. Listen to the overwhelming number of players who say that they want the freedom to choose.
Exactly, yeah. It's as you mentioned there, archaic, embarrassing in its own right. That you would do this. Like, take it. Like, imagine. Joe McCarthy mentioned this at Cork's Red FM as well. It's a very good point. Imagine the uproar if Clare and Tipperary in the Munster Senior Hurling Championship was called off because Tipperary said they're going to wear like a sponsor on their jerseys. Imagine the Séamus, the uproar if that was to happen. These players were informed that the game was cancelled at 8 o'clock on Friday. The game was at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Talk about respect. And the statement, it says that that very line, in the best interest of the players. How?
Best interest of the players. Nonsense. Like 83% of your players want the freedom to choose. 70% of players experience discomfort playing in Skorts. 65% are concerned about exposure in media content affecting their mental state. 49% experience anxiety about potential period leaks while playing. Best interest of your players. Really? Really? Like, miss me with that. Like, seriously, like, that's nonsense. And doubling down on it again, like, if anyone from the Camogie Association is seeing this, please listen to the players. It's so far beyond. You can't save face now. And I do think it's like, are you just doubling down for the sake of doubling down? Is it just about power? Is it just that you didn't want the players to have the final say? You didn't want the players to have that iconic moment where they played in the shorts? So disrespectful. Like the night before at 8 p.m, it's disrespectful to the players. It's disrespectful to the fans. It's disrespectful to the media. It's disrespectful to Clubber, who were streaming the game and they had to get a commentator, a videographer. It's disrespectful to everyone involved. And like, they have not been transparent at all. They've come out and they've just been like so blunt. They're like, well, the rule is the rule. Can't change the rules. I'm like, you've changed the rules multiple times, by the way. You go back to the start of the Camogie, up to the present day, they've changed multiple rules. This isn't about rules. This isn't about tradition. In my opinion, it's about power. It's about power and it's about ego. You don't want the players to win, essentially. You want to have it in your Congress where you change the rules and you're still in power. You don't want the players to take the power. Well, guess what? Without the players, you've no game. And all of you are out of a job. So start treating your players with a bit of respect. Because they're the ones that are putting in the hard yards. They're the ones that are putting in the training sessions. They're the ones that are doing the nights behind closed doors, keeping your game alive. Start treating them with respect. 83% of them want the freedom to choose. They're not even trying to abolish the Skorts. They're not even trying to get rid of the Skorts. They're literally just trying to have the right to choose. And it's not like they're trying to wear slippers or something. It's not like they're trying to wear something ridiculous. They're trying to wear shorts. The same thing that's worn in soccer, in basketball, in rugby, in Gaelic football, every sport. Yet they're just change it. Just please change it. The only way you can save any inch of respect from the general media is to listen to the players at long last and change it. And hopefully in their Congress they do. But
hopefully,
given their behaviour in terms of the lack of respect that they showed by cancelling the game at the last minute, I don't back them to do that at all.
The thing is, Séamus, and Dan, our good friend Dan Casey, was actually on Cork's Red FM having the chat with Joe McDonagh last night. And Dan asked a very good question that none of us know. Who are the delegates? And Joe McCarthy literally said, I don't know. And we don't know either. We need to make it clear, first of all, who are the delegates?
Yeah.
They're voting for this archaic rule. And this game, Cork and Waterford as well, not only would have been an historic occasion, and it would have been great media publicity, it would have been an opportunity to draw a line under the sand. Yeah. Okay, we've had our power here. Look, ye win. The media attention's enough. It's been on primetime. It's been on Rory Stories. It's been on Off the Ball. That's it.
It's everywhere. Like, it's literally, you've got Sinn Féin politicians wearing shorts, like, to stand with the players. Like, you're getting national attention, and not in a good way. Like, you know when they say any publicity is good publicity? Not here. People were not saying, God, isn't the Camogie Association great? Everyone was saying, this is, like, ridiculous. Like, and Ashton Marr put it so powerful. Like, Ashton Marr spoke so well all week, because it must be difficult to do all those interviews when you are going through what you're going through. And I've no doubt, because you see the odd comment, which is just ridiculous. And I've no doubt that she would have been getting hate for this as well. So to go through it the way she's gone, so much respect for her. And the way she spoke, she said, the only part of now in Ireland, my life, where someone tells me what to wear, is sport. Like, that's so yeah, it's just so archaic, man. And we've comments in here, floods in agreeing with it. Sean Rice says the Camogie Association setting the sport back years. I wouldn't blame any of the girls for quitting, given the way they've been treated. And it's not even that. It's like, do you remember all Hannah Looney, Libby Coppinger, Maeve Cahalane, where
playing on the same day,
where they were having to play 2 games in one day and everything like that. Liam White says, got to give a huge shout out to both Dublin and Offaly miners for their stance before the Leinster final. Absolutely. Sean says, no matter what happens from now, it shouldn't have come to this. That's the best. Like, it should never have come to this. It should never have come to where they've got literally the scrutiny of the nation on them, like, for just something as stupid as this, something as petty as this. Just listen to your players, for God's sake.
And another very good point Jor made. It was a very good listen. It is on Spotify, Cork's Red FM. It's dated Saturday, the 10th of May. I'd encourage everybody to listen to that first half of the show that talks about the Skort and Short issue. Dan and Jor had a very good discussion. And another good point by Jor. What will the sponsors think about this?
Yeah.
Very Glendimplex. What will they think of this?
Yeah.
They would think, or why would our company have partnership with an association that clearly don't care about the people that play our sport?
And the truth is, man, I think, well said as well, because that's a great point, because that would really scare them. If the sponsors were unhappy, that would scare them, because now it's like, it's getting to, like, it does really affect you. And the other thing as well is, like, 83%, listen to that as well. 83% said they're in favour of having a choice. Not getting rid of it, not abolishing it, just having the right to wear shorts. So if you're a Camogie player and you want to wear your Skort, or you like wearing your Skort, you can still wear it. It's just so that the other players have a right to wear shorts. And again, if people come back and say, oh, well, then they'll be wearing 2 different things. Come on. How many Gaelic football matches do you see where the goalkeeper's wearing like a hoodie or like a half zip, and everyone just gets on with it? We literally had an All-Ireland club semi-final where the Clare Trantil goalkeeper wore a bib. I think we can get over 1 or 2 players wearing Skorts and the other wearing shorts, because that's the way it would be. Maybe you'd have 1 player on the team who wears a Skort. The vast majority would wear shorts. The vast majority would wear shorts. That's why it's become such an issue. But personally, I am going to say this. Personally, I do think that it will get through. I think there's too much momentum. There's too much scrutiny. There's too many people paying attention to it. There is too much now behind this for it to fail. I think it will get through. I think that the players will be given the right to wear shorts in this calendar year. But I think the Camogie Association want to be the ones to pass it through Congress. They don't want the players to have that moment where they push it through, if you get me.
And
because then why would they cancel the game so late?
No, it's just a lack of respect to the players, Seamus. It's a lack of respect, obviously, to media, to club who were streaming the game, to management as well.
That's another one, man. That's another one. If you were a broadcaster and you've got this association that cancelled the game the night before,
they'd say to hell with this.
Like, and you're locked in. You have your workforce booked in for this game.
Yeah. They might not show a Camogie game again if they're going to be treated like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing as well. They have to think about how this will affect their revenue as well. This is looking very, very bad in the Camogie Association. If they let the players play yesterday and let the players at their moment, they would say, okay, have a bit of moral content, that's fine. You let the players play, and it was a historic moment. But by cancelling the game at such short notice and disrespecting your players, your management, your media, your fans, you have just, it's so angry, Seamus, and they've just
it really annoys me, because I've got family that play, I've got friends that play, and I see how much it annoys them, and it's just tiny little. Like, it's not tiny, but it's barriers like that turn a lot of girls away from sport. And we're trying to make a level playing field here. We're trying to get everybody involved, and it's just subtle disrespects that are just we need to get rid of it. Camogie, just the final message then, listen to your players. It's time to push this through. It's time to give the players the right to choose between wearing shorts and wearing Skorts. It's very clear, 83% want that freedom to choose. You've no game without your players. Listen to your players. That's my stance on it. Yeah, that's the episode. It was an absolute banger of an episode. Matthew, thanks for jumping on for another episode. Thank you to Seán Carroll as well, who jumped on for his debut on the pod. Thanks as well to Negative Times, to Sean O'Malley, to Brian O'Riordan, to Liam White, to Rudders 38, to Porter, to, let me make sure that I'm not forgetting anybody, but anybody who dropped in a comment. Yous are cool. How on earth did I miss this one? He said, another fantastic week of GA Games. Greeting from Mexico. My daughters have also become fans of your channel. I love that, man. Thank you so much. God bless you over in Mexico. Raymond Gilburn as well dropped a comment in early on in the show. Deanne Murphy, Shawnee K all dropped in comments. Johnny Barrett as well, and Brian O'Riordan, the main man himself, dropped in about 1 million comments. Love to see it, Brian. That is the episode finished. Thank you so much to everybody that paid attention. Big episode, big weekend. Great pod, lads. Thank you very much, Sean. Look forward to another one soon. Brian says, up loud. Louth has made my day. One thing, Louth and Dublin, happy that Meath lost. I'm messing. But the episode has come to an end. Thank you so much to everybody who paid attention. Thank you so much to everybody who watched. Until the next one, next Sunday at 8 p.m. Enjoy your week and take care.